All right, so welcome to week 9. All right, so in week 9, just remind you a couple of things. So I did put the key to test 2 right here. So if you click on this, you will then see the access of the test, the PDF of the key, and the video of the key. So the key has been posted. Go to grades. When you go to grades, right here, um, let's see. Make sure you arrange it by assignment group, so therefore you'll see all of the new Nalta assignments first, then you'll see the quizzes next. So notice that for week 9 right here, you'll see that there's an in-class quiz this week that's going to be given. So you have two quizzes and then a third one that's going to be given this Wednesday during class. You have your 2 tests right here. So you'll see, right now you're looking at information in which there's no score because I'm in a student view, but you should see a score, whatever you made in the test. And there's all of you that took the test. I submitted your test back with comments if you made below 100. And so you'll see a little icon right here. Just click on that icon to get to the PDF. Then the next thing you'll see is your worksheets and other assignments, and so there's quite a bit of those. So just scroll down, and then you see your attendance. Just scroll down, and so on. All right, and I want to remind you that some of you still have these questions about these online quiz and tests that you see, and you'll see something like nothing out of 16, nothing out of 20. Either saying missing or something like that. Remember, that's where you go to get the problems. So once you go to get the problems, you work out the problems, you submit it, and that's what I score. And that is one of these up here, where you have quizzes and tests. I'm sorry, not tests, because those tests are in class. But remember where you had that non-proctored quiz? So that was the one you took at home and you had to submit. So that's one of those. So that's what I scored, and that's put here. Just to remind you, see right here in the top right, the only thing that's counting towards your course grade is new knowledge assignments, the quizzes. So I've only given 2. I'm going to give a third one on Wednesday. Your 2 tests so far, there are 4 altogether. Your worksheets and other assignments, there are quite a few of those. There's at least 25 assignments on those. Your final exam, which you have not taken, that's 20% of your course grade, and the attendance participation, which is 5. All this other stuff is 0%, does not count. So you will see something missing for online quizzes and tests, because that's where you had to go sometimes to get your problems that you had to upload and then send to me. So that will say 0%, but it does not count towards your course grade. Same thing with upload worksheets, work quizzes, and tests. Those does not count as well. So just keep that in mind. So it's important you understand what all this is right here in comparison to what you're seeing right here. Okay. All right. So that's your grades. Let's go back to the home page. So test number 3 will be Wednesday, November 2nd. So you go here to get to the study guide, and I'm going to add a couple more things, but for right now, this is what your study guide covers. It says test 3 will include 2 problems from 22 through 24, so that was from study guide 2, and problems 26 and a problem like 26 through 34. So these are what you've been studying through, I think, week 8. I think through week 8. So just go through those. I will have the key to those at some point. And then I'll also relate the worksheets that goes with each of these, so you'll have more things to look at. For example, you see this graph right here? So you have 2 closed circles on your test. One could be open, the other one could be open, they both could be open. You could have a different graph. You will have a different graph. Obviously, it's not going to be the same graph, but there's a worksheet that deals with that was not graded that I asked you to do. So it's important you look at those worksheets. So I will tell you which worksheets goes with some of these problems, so you'll have more types of problems to look at. Okay, so there's no way I could have on the study guide given you every possibility, but you are going to have a graph on your test, a graph of a function, and you are going to have to tell me the domain, the range, and a couple of function values like you see for C and D. Okay? All right, so that's going to be test number 3. That is on November 2nd. Let's go back to the home page. And then for this week, oh, one other thing. So 2.3, New Alta 2.3, those scores were sent to your Canvas grades this morning. So now you have until October 23rd to improve those scores. Look at the deadlines for 1.5, 1.7, 1.8, 2.1. Make sure you're working on that. Next week, I'm going to add some sections from Chapter 3. So these will no longer be available. 1.5 and 1.7 will no longer be available. So I need for you just to continue working on these two if you don't have 100%. And then make sure you're also working on all these other new and alter assignments you see here, so at some point you don't get too overwhelmed because you were behind on some of the others. All right, and then let's see. Okay, so now we're in week 9. So these are the non-graded worksheets for week 9. Remember, non-graded doesn't mean you don't have to do those. Just like you saw for test 3, there are some problems in test 3 that came from the non-graded. There's no way I can pick all these up and grade these with over 40 students in one class and 35 in another. I can't do that. So some of those I will not grade, some of those I will. So there are 3 worksheets that will be graded this week, and all the others will not be graded. The keys to those are already posted. So make sure as you go through the weekly agenda for week 9 that you go through these keys and you look at the key to those. So if you go to week 9 though, we're going to continue talking about section 3.1 and 3.2, which deal with functions and graphs. So there are 3 assignments on that section, 2 are non-graded, 1 graded. Then in 3.2, they talk about something called even and odd functions. So that's an important topic, especially if you go beyond algebra, college algebra. That is an important topic. There's a non-graded assignment that goes with it. Another important topic that's going to be needed for either business calculus or science calculus, engineering calculus, is the difference quotient. And so this is a graded assignment, but it is on a difference quotient. And that is something you'll see on test number 4. Then there's a topic on piecewise functions. All you're going to be doing here is just evaluating piecewise functions. Sometimes in class we graph piecewise functions, but this semester I'm not going to do that. So for your purpose, you just need to know how to evaluate piecewise functions. Now, New and Alta, when you get to New and Alta, they may have a couple of sections in New and Alta where you do have to graph, but on a test or quiz or homework assignment, I'm not going to ask you to graph, and so you're not going to see it here. All you're going to see is how to evaluate. Then you're also going to talk about still section 3.2, 3.1. You're going to talk about the average rate of change and what we mean by average rate of change. So the same idea of slope. So in your test, you had something to do. You had a couple of problems in which you had to find the slope in test number 2. So you're going to apply that in this topic. It is a non-graded assignment. In 3.3, that's where we start talking about transformations, vertical shift, horizontal shifts, and so on. So we're going to start talking about that on. You are going to start learning about that on Friday, those are non-graded assignments, and then the following week we're gonna continue talking about that, plus some other topics that we need to look at for week 10. But that is week number 9. Quite a bit of stuff here, and we remember we're past the halfway mark, so just keep on trucking along. Just keep doing your work, and you should be fine. All right, so that is it. That is I think all I wanted to remind you about. Let me just quickly go back to the home page to make sure there's nothing else. Let's see. Don't forget about your study guide. That is important. You have your test number 3 on November 2nd. So make sure you're continuing working on these. Yep, I think that's it. And your new and alter assignments. Okay, I will see you on Wednesday.